Welcome back to the Barrel Talk podcast. We are back with another episode. Going to be something a little bit different today. A reaction video to Bleacher Report's newest mock draft with apparently a Blockbuster trade. So let's jump right into it. Haven't done a Bleacher Report kind of mock draft reaction. I always think those are interesting just because with all the different writers they have over there at Bleacher Report, it's kind of interesting to see a different take on things compared to my mock drafts as well. But I do have a mock draft episode that I just dropped with trades included, so I think it was a good idea to react to this one that seems like it's going to have some trades included. Just came out May 23rd, so just a couple days ago. So let's kind of look at it and break it down going one by one. Washington selects AJ Dybantsa. I'm perfectly fine with this for Washington. I don't think also the Utah Jazz don't absolutely need to trade up for AJ Dybantsa. I know it's been their guy, want to keep him in the state of Utah, but I do think there's a world where Washington just takes him, and then Utah is kind of left with a player on that level in terms of talent, in my opinion, and Darren Peterson. I don't think the gap is that big at all. But they're also getting somebody that I think better fits and suits that roster over there in Utah with Darren Peterson right now. I think Keontae George, Darren Peterson, Lauri Markkanen, Triple J, and Walker Kessler with Ace Bailey and Bryce Sensabaugh off the bench is a phenomenal roster in the Western Conference to compete for a playoff spot next year. And I'm fine with the Washington Wizards taking AJ Dybantsa at 1. At 2, Darren Peterson, Utah Jazz. Really like this fit as well. If this is 1-2 on draft night, I think both teams are walking away big time winners, obviously, at 1 and 2. Number 3, Memphis, Cam Boozer. First 3 picks are pretty much what I've usually mocked in the draft. I usually go 1, Dybantsa, 2, Peterson, 3, Cameron Boozer when I don't do trades in that episode as well. So the first 3 match my first 3 when I usually do a mock draft as well. Now getting into 4, Caleb Wilson. I think this would be a home run pick for the Chicago Bulls. I really like his fit and what they're kind of building over there in Chicago going forward. I think him and Matas could be one of the more interesting wing duos in the league going forward. But I think Chicago is really about to turn the corner. I think the NBA is just better when a big-time market like Chicago is also competing and in the playoffs and is better as well. So I think that's a really good fit for Caleb Wilson. Clippers, they're a trade candidate team, in my opinion, because they're in an interesting spot at 5. Yes, I'm always one to think of, like, don't overthink it. The Spurs didn't when they had Harper on the board and they had Fox and Castle in the building already. Just take talent. You can never have too much of it. Clippers are in an interesting situation because what are you doing with Kawhi Leonard? They have a lot more questions than I feel like the Spurs do this offseason with Darius Garland. He's on a long-term contract. You got to sign Benedict Mathurin to a long-term deal, which I think is still a good fit on this team. You still have a void at the 5 spot after moving Zubac. You kind of have an older roster. You need to get a lot younger. So I can see a world where they possibly trade back from 5. There's a lot of teams that have multiple first-round picks this year in the draft. And I can see them taking a swing on maybe adding more future draft capital, maybe a couple of rotational players on this team as well. Or maybe they go out and trade for a 5-man. I think in my mock trade, I had them trading for Miles Turner in a kind of like a situation where the Bucks are blowing it up. And they add Miles Turner to what they have building a stretch 5 that they can grow with long term, getting him on kind of a buy low. And I think the Clippers are one of those interesting teams where they could stay at 5 as well. I think Keaton Wagner would be a really good fit next to Darius Garland. I think they provide each other and really play off each other with the 2 types of pace they play with. Darius Garland, more quick foot, faster pace compared to Keaton Wagner, who's more of a flow in his game, kind of like a Tyrese Halliburton. We've seen a lot of comps there just in this draft cycle alone, where I think Keaton Wagner will be a really good fit with the Clippers. And at 5, I think he'd be the only guy I'd really, really like them taking. I think Darius Acuff with Darius Garland doesn't really work a whole lot. Kingston Flemings could work, but it's kind of like 2 smaller guards, and you still have Mathurin to worry about as well in the free agency market. So I think Keaton Wagner with his size at 6'6", I think will be a really good fit. And I think he's the only guy I'd realistically take at 5 if I was the Clippers, unless they went crazy and went a Daymar to address their 5-spot issues. So I think go a number of different ways for the Clippers going forward. Brooklyn Nets get Darius Acuff, but superstar guard. Out of all the guards in this class that are in the lottery range, he has superstar written all over him. In my eyes, I don't believe in him being too small. I don't believe in the size question marks. He is an athletic freak at the guard spot, and I think he's going to be a superstar in this league. Him going to either Brooklyn or Sacramento Kings, I think these 2 can be flip-flops on draft night. However, I like the Kings getting Mikal Brown or Darius Acuff, and I like the same thing for the Brooklyn Nets getting Darius Acuff or Mikal Brown. I think these are 2 of the kind of plays that I would go at 6 and 7 if there wasn't a trade involved for these two teams to trade up, trade back, anything of that nature. But I do like these two going right after each other because I think both teams could really hit and get big time W's on both of these guys right here. Atlanta Hawks go Damara. Really like this fit. I think Atlanta could go like somebody like Kingston Fleming's on the board here, but I think a Damara to address that 5 spot. I think Nneka Okongwu is a perfect kind of like, I always use this kind of like comparison of like a Naz Reid. He can be their version of Naz Reid because he's more of an offensive minded center, but he's a really good defender, but he's just a little undersized to play the 5. So I like him coming off the bench and being like, go rock out, because he is so skilled offensively with his ability to space, but he's such a good switchable defender to where if you add a really good rim protecting backline defender in a Damara, this Atlanta Hawks team becomes a lot more dangerous out east. But I do like him or Kingston Fleming's here at 8. And okay, so here's the trade. Charlotte Hornets are now picking at 9. So the Charlotte Hornets receive Kyrie Irving at number 9. The Dallas Mavericks receive LaMelo Ball 14 and 18. For Dallas, you get LaMelo Ball and 2 first-round picks for Kyrie Irving coming off an ACL, who's an older player. Now you're kind of building around Cooper Flagg. I like this for Dallas. LaMelo Ball is probably coming off of his most productive year in his career. Last year was healthy for the most part throughout the season. You get LaMelo Ball on the Cooper Flagg timeline as well. Great guard to pair up with Cooper Flagg, and you get 14 and 18. But Charlotte, with Kyrie, Khan, Brandon Miller, and everything they're building over there, and pick 9 to select Brayden Burries. So now you're looking at Kyrie, Khan, Miller, Bridges, Diabate, and then you have off your bench Kobe White, Brayden Burries, which would be one of the most exciting backup backcourts in the league. I would be in for all that. But I just think Charlotte jumping the gun here, getting something I don't think they need in Kyrie Irving. We know Kyrie Irving is one of the best point guards in all of basketball, and I think he's going to be just fine coming off the ACL. But I think they're jumping the gun on this. I think, especially coming off your best season in some time, and you are just a game away from making the playoffs, I think you have holes in this team that you need to get more pressure on the rim. You need to get more physical on defense. And I just think, why break up something that is just starting to turn the corner to get older for no reason? I'm sorry, Kyrie Irving is not, at this point in his career, is not pushing Charlotte to a deep Eastern Conference playoff run, even with Brayden Burries. Now, the pick in this is interesting because getting a player of the caliber of Brayden Burries would be super, super interesting. But I just think keeping LaMelo Ball on this team, I think he is a big part of the pace of play and the way they're able to operate and play and get a ton of threes up. But I don't think they should make a move like this. I think they should stay pat with their picks at 14 and 18 and keep LaMelo Ball, because I think he's the identity of that offense and that style of play that Charles Lee wants to play with over there in Charlotte. Dallas, I like this because you're just getting younger and you're adding 2 first-round picks off of this. Yeah, you're not picking at 9, but 14 and 18. This draft is so deep and loaded with star talent to where I like you're adding LaMelo Ball, and like, who knows who they draft 14 and 18 in this mock, but LaMelo Ball, like, can go like Cameron Carr and like Morez John. Like, they can get crazy with that. I think Charlotte would say no to this because I think the timeline and age gap with Kyrie and LaMelo Ball, especially with you now having a really good productive season for LaMelo Ball under his belt, I think this trade would be declined by the Charlotte Hornets. But I think Dallas would take this in a heartbeat. Milwaukee Bucks, Kingston Fleming's, really like this pickup for them. Him and Ryan Rollins, I think, could be an electric front court play going forward. Interested to see with Giannis Antetokounmpo waiting his ticket out of town, the Bucks better plan on approaching this pick with the next chapter in focus. So it looks like they're going into this draft mock with the mindset of Giannis being moved at some point in the offseason. I think Kingston Fleming, if the Bucks can exit this draft with the mindset we're leaving and getting out of this Giannis Antetokounmpo era, I think if they end up with any of the guards, great get, because I think it's in the best interest for them to pair up somebody with Ryan Rollins in that backcourt going forward. I think Kingston Fleming would be a really good guard here for the Bucks at 10. In my trade video, I had them trading up to get Darius Acuff at 5 with the Clippers and Miles Turner and getting the swap. So they end up with a guard here. So I'm not mad at that. If they can end up with Kingston Fleming's, Mikael Brown, Keaton Wagner, or Darius Acuff out of this draft at 10 for Milwaukee, home run pick, even if you do keep Giannis. Golden State, Yaxel Lindenberg. This would be a home run pick for the Golden State Warriors. They need front court help desperately. Young front court help. Yaxel Lindenberg, he might be able to come into the league right away and guard 1 through 4 confidently, maybe 1 through 5 depending on what team they're playing. He's just that versatile of a guy. He probably is, outside of like the top 4, the most NBA ready guy to come in right away and give rotational minutes, real rotational minutes. He'll be 24 as a rookie, has a saying right here. But with Golden State trying to maximize the Steph Curry window, I think this is a home run pick for Yaxel Lenneborg. Does he fall to 11? I don't know. I think a Daymar jumping up makes this a lot more possible for Golden State. But I think this would be a home run pick for Golden State. Absolutely. Okay, see, I don't agree with this one right here. Because when I'm looking at OKC, they're in the world of, right now, by the time I'm recording, this is 2-2 in the conference finals for them. They're going to need to be a lot more flexible financially. And I've heard a lot of talk and rumors about them trying to package up their 2 picks to possibly go up and get somebody like a Daymara, or even jumps as high into the top 4 as they can possibly get, because they have the capital to do so. But I think going and getting a project guy in Nate Ament, where you're kind of in this weird transition period on your roster to where J-Dub was banged up all year. You're going to have to get off Lou Dort. You're going to have to get off Isaiah Hartenstein. I like them going forward, just not Nate Ament to this spot. If it was Yaxel Lenneborg, love the fit tremendously, because I think that's what they're lacking, is that front court help. But I do think OKC would not pick Nate Ament at 12, and I would go a different direction. Miami, LeBaron Philon, like this fit, because you don't know what you're doing with Tyler Hero or Norman Powell. Yes, you have Davion Mitchell, who I love the fit there. But LeBaron Philon is somebody that can play the 2, play off the ball, play with the ball in his hands. I like Davion Mitchell a lot there in Miami. And I think a good backcourt would be LeBaron Philon, Davion Mitchell going forward. You still have Kasperis Yakuchonis that he just drafted last year as well. So I think LeBaron Philon will be a really good pick here at 13 for Miami. Dallas. So they're thinking with the mindset I was. In the trade, we'll talk about if the trade happens, right? You have LaMelo Ball, Cameron Carr, which I really like. He was one of the draft combine standouts, with just his measurables, his play in the combine game. Like, he is probably the biggest riser in the draft combine process. He's seeming more to be a locked-in lottery guy from everything that I'm seeing. And if Dallas pulls this trade off, like LaMelo, Cameron Carr, Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, Derek Lively, like Daniel Gafford, like they're a deep team. Like, man, this would be a home run steal for Dallas, in my opinion. And I know I'm not trying to like diminish Kyrie Irving, but he's an older point guard coming off an ACL injury. Like, and you're getting somebody like LaMelo Ball who fits your timeline more, and you're getting 14 and 18. Maybe it would be a little bit different if Charlotte got to get 9 and keep 18, and then Dallas is looking at like LaMelo and 14. Maybe I see that world, but Cam Carr and LaMelo Ball, I got to see who they pick at 18. Chicago, Hans Steinbach, don't hate this pick at all. In a couple of mocks, I have Chicago doing a couple of different routes, couple of different things, like James Quanitz, I think, is on the board for them. I like Hans. He's somebody I haven't really mocked there a ton. Morris Johnson, somebody who's really good at the combine, somebody who could really fit what they're building over there in Chicago. But I think Hans is somebody that gives a nice floor for the 5 spot, somebody that can pass, move very well for his size, one of the best rebounders in this class. And I think he is somebody that could be a really good fit in Chicago going forward. And they have a void at the 5 spot, so I don't hate this pick at 15 right here. Memphis, 16, Christian Anderson. I wonder, okay, so they're already talking about the rebuilding waters with John Morant possibly on the table to get moved this offseason. Even if Memphis extends its partnership a bit due to the lack of market interest, it's clear that the franchise must take a new direction at lead guard. Christian Anderson would be a really good fit here. Out of all the guards here, if Memphis, I've also like see a world where I'm so high on Darius Acuff to where like if they really wanted to get a superstar guard back in there in Memphis, Darius Acuff could be on the board there at 3, or even if they wanted to trade down, if they're not in love with Cam Boozer come draft night, want a higher ceiling kind of guy, I think Darius Acuff could be on the board and could be a good play for them. But Christian Anderson, I think would be a really good value pick here at 16. He's a sniper, really good 3-point shooter. They have a ton of guards there, kind of have a void in kind of just the front court and forward depth. But if you're going to move off John Morant, maybe you get a forward in the building as well for him in a trade. But I like Christian Anderson here. I'm not mad at it at 16. 17, Morris Johnson for the Thunder. This is more what I'm talking about from the Thunder. I don't think he falls all the way to 17. If he does, I'd be really shocked because I feel like every team kind of needs front court help right now. I don't know what it is. I feel like every team could just use a little bit more front court depth, a little bit more bounce at that position. Morris Johnson to OKC. This is a pick I love. I think they would be able to get him at what is it? What pick do they have? 12? Yeah, they'd be able. I think Morris Johnson goes here to the OKC Thunder over Nate Met, and I feel like Nate Met is somebody that can fall to here. So I think if you swap these two picks, I like it a little bit more for the OKC's Thunder side of things. Now, so wow, okay. God, I would love this for Dallas. I would absolutely love this for Dallas. But I just don't think it happens just because I don't think Charlotte's giving up on LaMelo Ball for Kyrie Irving, especially. Just two different timelines of players right now, their current ages. But if you're Dallas and you left a draft with LaMelo Ball, Cam Carr, Chris Sinak, and now you have Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Klay Thompson, like, whew. Dallas would be up, and this rebuild around Cooper Flagg would be getting to another level going into next year with that roster. But I just don't think this trade happens. Toronto, Bennett Sturts, just steady. That's all I can say about Bennett Sturts. Bennett Sturts shot his ass off at the combine from all the things that I've seen. He's just such a steady guard. I love what they're building over there in Toronto. I think Bennett Sturts could just be a really fine point guard to put on this team going forward. San Antonio, Kareem Lopez, they're kind of in a luxury here to where I've seen a world where like they could trade this pick for future draft capital because like what is the hole on the roster right now? Kareem Lopez, take the swing. You have such a young roster already. You're in the conference finals. You're 2 games away from the NBA finals. And with the 20th overall pick from the Hawks, take the swing on Kareem Lopez. High upside guy. He needs time to develop, but like take the swing. This is what I love. If you're going to take a swing, you're not asking Kareem Lopez to come in and be your franchise-saving guy. It's kind of like OKC taking the swing. I think the Morris Johnson, Nate Met picks could be swapped. But for OKC, why you can afford to take swings. Like when you're that good. Now, if it's like the Kings taking a swing, it's a little bit different because their development is shaky, and you're asking this guy to come in and save the franchise. I think Kareem Lopez and Nate Met are kind of hand in hand in terms of the big developmental guys in this draft. But Spurs and OKC, I like them taking the swing on the high developmental guys because two great developmental organizations, but they can afford to take the swing because they're so good right now and have great young rosters. Detroit, Isaiah Evans. Love this. Love this. Detroit needs more shooting, but they need more shooting that can defend. I love Duncan Robinson, but I think Isaiah Evans is just a better, more athletic defender. But I do think Isaiah Evans, kind of comparing him to Amari Allen, they talked about it a lot in the tournament. His ability to bend off screens and to contort his body to get open and come off screens in that Duke offense, running off screens all game long. He is somebody that can be a really elite 3-and-D option for the Pistons right away, and I think he could find himself in the rotation immediately off day one. And I think this would be a home run pick. I love this pick that they made here for the Pistons and Isaiah Evans. Allen Graves, Philly, love this pick in, a Swiss Army knife guy. You can never go wrong with a forward, and I think gives them more flexibility going forward. And I think he's just such a versatile piece on both sides of the ball for Philly, so I really like this pick here at 22. Atlanta, Ibuka Okorie. So the Hawks win a day Mara in this mock. So I always find a way, if the Hawks end up keeping both picks, to end up with a day Mara at 8 and one of Okorie, Bennett Sturts, Christian Anderson on the wrap at 23. Phenomenal draft if they're leaving with that. Absolutely phenomenal. Next, New York Knicks gets Jaden Quaidens. Don't mind this at all. High upside swing here. You could lose Mitchell Robinson to free agency this offseason. Love getting another high upside guy in the room. But, yep, they're already saying there's a real chance winds up luring Mitchell Robinson away. Could be a big-time contract that the Knicks can't afford. But Quaidens would be a very interesting piece because with the injury concerns and everything else like that. But high upside swing, I'm fine with the Knicks taking a shot like this because right now, by the time I'm recording this, they're about to go to the NBA Finals. So why not take the big shot on Jaden Quaidens? This is another guy that I've kind of mocked there a ton. If you're going to lose Mitchell Robinson, I think Henry Vassar is kind of just a bigger body, more of a 7-foot kind of spacing guy for you there. But Jaden Quaidens' defensive potential is out of this world. But Henry Vassar to the Lakers, really good fit for them. Somebody that can be a spacer out there at the 5 spot. Like this pick for the Lakers. I think I just did a mock where I think these two picks were switched and Henry Vassar went to the Knicks and Quaidens went to the Lakers. So I think both of those will be really good picks even if they were swapped. Dalen Swain falls to 26. I don't think he falls this far. But man, this would be a phenomenal grab for Denver. Phenomenal grab for Denver. If they're able to get him and bring Peyton Watson back, and now you can run lineups out there with Jamal Murray, Dalen Swain, Peyton Watson, Aaron Gordon, that helps out your defense a ton. And Dalen Swain is a plug-and-play guy right now, right away. So I love this fit here in Denver. Does he fall this far? I don't know. I do not know. Boston going Luigi Zuego. They can go a number of different options. They have the hole at the big spot. Boston's always kind of a tough team to kind of mock. I've always thought of them being able to get one of these guards in the back half of the draft to be a backup guard to Peyton Pritchard going forward, because that's something they lacked, but they could address that as well in free agency. Interested. He seems more of like a developmental guy. I'm not having been so tapped in with him as well, just overseas. But I do think, I don't know if this is the Boston Celtics pick. I don't know. I'm not too high on this pick for Boston, but who knows? Because they're in an interesting spot because they have a hole at the 5, and their bench has kind of deteriorated over the past couple of seasons due to being so expensive. So I'm interested to see what Boston does at 27. 28, Jock Yaley. I don't like this pick for Minnesota with who they could get on the board right now. I like Joshua Jefferson a little bit more. I like Amari Allen a little bit more, who's still on the board here. Just more NBA ready guys. Timberwolves ready to compete for championships. Like, they're ready to get. I think Amari Allen can come in and be a fine defender off the bench for them. Fine 3-and-D option off the bench right away. I would go here if I was them. And then I'm going to Cleveland. Amari Allen, I think, would go a lot higher in my mocks, just because the value of a 3-and-D guy coming into this league right away. Comparing him and Isaiah Evans, he's just a bigger defender than Isaiah Evans, but I think Isaiah Evans, the way he plays and the way he shoots the ball offensively, I think is a little bit better than Amari Allen. But I do think Amari Allen would go a lot higher than 29 in a mock. Tandre, yes, man. Wow, I didn't even think about Dallas keeping. So Dallas so you're telling me in this mock, Dallas is going to leave the draft with LaMelo Ball, Cameron Carr. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll back up. Who did they get at 18? So you mean tell me a trade that involves Kyrie Irving and pick 9, the Hornets would leave with Kyrie and Braden Burries. I understand that. No way Charlotte does that deal. If the Dallas Mavericks got into a war where they left the draft with LaMelo Ball, Cameron Carr, Chris Sinek, Tandre Yesufu, it would be the most talent. I'm not even talking about LaMelo Ball. Cameron Carr, Tandre Yesufu, and Chris Sinek would be the most talented group that has been drafted in the same draft class in some time. They'd have a boatload of talent around Cooper Flag. If they had something like this on the table for Kyrie, send it. Because man, they'd have some shit to build around over there in Dallas if they made a trade like that happen. But this is a pretty solid article, solid mock. I think Amari Allen will go a lot higher and Dalen Swain will go a lot higher. But I kind of agree with a lot of these picks. Love the Allen Graves one to Philly. Isaiah Evans to Detroit. Love that one as well. I like the swing on Kareem Lopez and OKC, taking this high upside swings. But I think Morez Johnson does go to OKC at 12, if anything. But man, that's an interesting trade. I don't think it gets done. I don't think Charlotte agrees to that. Because I just think, what's the value of Kyrie Irving coming off the ACL? I think it's something to watch out for this offseason. But if Dallas pulled that trade off, I mean, they're leaving the draft happy as can be. But that is all I have for this episode of the Barrel Talk Podcast, reacting to this Bleacher Report mock draft. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the Barrel Talk Podcast. Hope you tune in to future episodes.